Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and this is set number 71460, Mr. Oz's Spacebus from the LEGO Dreamzzz theme. This set contains 878 pieces, 2 minifigures, as well as 8 of what we're calling minifigures, and it will retail for $99.99 in the US, as well as the same price in most places in Europe. This set does not officially release until August 1st, 2023, but it was sent to me early by the LEGO Group through the LEGO Ambassador Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are my own. Every LEGO Dreamzzz set includes some sort of alternate build, and I will be covering both builds in this video. So make sure to watch all the way through if you want to see how the different builds look. Also make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let me know in the comments which LEGO Dreamzzz set you want to see an early review on next. I'll be doing early reviews of all the LEGO Dreamzzz sets, so I'm going to be doing the most requested ones first. So make sure to let me know which ones you guys want to see. But now let's get into the review. So here is Mr. Oz's Spacebus, and if you've seen the LEGO Dreamzzz show, this is a pretty significant vehicle in the show, because it's the main way the main characters in the show get around. On top of that too, this is the only set, at least as of right now, to come with a Mr. Oz minifigure, as well as the only set to come with the Albert minifigure, who are both fairly prominent characters in the show. So if you are a fan of the LEGO Dreamzzz show, this might be one of the sets that you're interested in getting. But is the set itself actually any good? Well, let's take a look at it up a little bit closer. So starting on the front of the ship, you can see there's this giant blue windshield piece with a sticker on it. There is quite a few stickers used in this set. The sticker sheet for this set was massive. Speaking of the sticker sheet, I guess we'll talk about that real quick right now. But yeah, here's a look at it. You can see there's a ton of stickers used, but you can see there's some extras left over down here. Now this doesn't come in every LEGO Dreamzzz set this wave, though it does come in a few. And this is similar to what they did with Ninjago Prime Empire, where it just comes with extra stickers that you can put on your LEGO sets and just do whatever you want with. That's really fun, and while personally I don't really have plans to do anything with these, it just opens up to more customizability. So I love that that option's there and they give you so many. And as I said, you get even more in other sets. So that's actually very neat. But anyway, yeah, back to the front of the ship, you can see there's some stud shooters right here, which of course you can push down on stud shoot out. There's a total of 4 of those, 2 on each side. And you can see behind them there's a sticker with a bit of graffiti that just says the word sleep. Turn to the other side, you can see the bus itself's like very beat up. There's like ripped metal, stuff's rusting, there's also that like graffiti paint everywhere. And then there's also these little stickers in the front that say the word open here. That's because of course this is the part of the ship that you can actually open up. And that way you have access to the actual cockpit of the ship. You can see there's 2 seats in this cockpit area, there's 4 studs right here for a minifigure to sit, and then behind that there's 2 printed control panel pieces as well as some colorful buttons, and there's a jumper piece right there which is meant to be a seat for a minifigure to sit. Specifically, these seats are meant for Mr. Oz and Albert in this set, though of course you can put whatever figures there you want. And in case you're not familiar, when I say minifigure, I'm referring to these guys, these all new figures for this wave. I wasn't sure what to call them in one of my previous reviews, and someone in the comments suggested minifigure because they're the midpoint between minifigure and microfigure, and we already use the term midi in the LEGO community for sets that are between minifigure scale and microfigure scale, so until we get an official name for this scale of figure, I'm going to be calling these guys midi figures. But yeah, you can see I can set Albert in right there, and then I can put Mr. Oz in front of him, and then I can close this back up around them, and there's how they look actually driving the ship. Then moving back a little bit further, you can see this is why the set's called the Spacebus, because it's a modified version of a school bus. The word space is literally like graffitied on top of the word school bus, and then bus is turned into buzz. Because, of course, this is a LEGO Dreamzzz set, and Dreamzzz has 3 Z's in it. There's a stickered sign on the side that says Next Stop, Snooze Street, as well as a sticker to be a ladder piece to actually get up into the ship, and then yet another sticker right here with the Dream Chasers logo on it. However, it's kind of the Dream Chasers logo combined with the classic space logo, because it's got a little spaceship coming around it, and that's actually a really cute reference. You can see the other side of the ship's basically exactly the same, and then the walls for the school bus section can be folded down so you can actually see the interior. The main interior does open up to the cockpit, like there is no wall between them, so you can very easily have your characters walk back and forth if you want, but then the actual interior doesn't have a ton to it. There's 3 seats for full minifigures to sit, as well as 2 or 3 extra seats for minifigures to sit. You can see there's a jumper piece right there, a jumper piece right here, and then another jumper piece hidden away at the very front, but that is behind Albert's seat, so that is 1 extra place to pose a figure. I will say, I do wish there was maybe 1 more seat in here, because you could just barely not fit like every one of the main LEGO Dreamzzz characters, because aside from Mr. Oz and Albert, there's 5 main ones, and 4 of them are full-size minifigures, and 1 of them is a minifigure, so obviously you could put the minifigure at the back and 3 of the minifigures here, but then 1 of the characters is just left with nowhere to sit. Now, all those characters don't come in this set, so just as a standalone set, it's fine. But if you're a fan of the show, there's no way to fit all the main characters in the ship, which is a little bit disappointing. However, I suppose it's not the biggest deal in the world. What bothers me a little bit more, though, is the walls of this area, because they just feel like such wasted potential. You can see here the wall pieces that fold down right here, and there's like a printed console piece, a few clips, and the same things on the other side, but that's it. There's nothing to go in those clips. Now, I assume you're meant to put like the minifigures accessories in there when they're sitting in the ship, and yeah, that makes sense. I'm happy those are there. But even still, I kind of wish there was some stuff on the walls by default. Literally even just some more printed tiles, or even just some stickered pieces specialized for this set, because I don't know, just like this, they feel so plain. And considering that this is one of the most expensive sets of the wave, I was expecting maybe a little bit more here. And obviously that's very easy to customize for yourself, but it's just weird to me that it's not like that by default. LEGO usually jam-packs the walls of their sets with so much detail, so seeing so little here is so disappointing. And in fact, I feel that way about most of the interior. It's literally just seats. For $100, I was kind of hoping for a bit more. Back behind that though, there is like this translucent stickered part which looked to just be diagnostics for the ship, ship, and it's also a little window into the storage area behind it, because if we turn the ship all the way around, there's like this little back flap that opens up, and this side build that can roll out, and that's what we were seeing from the inside. This is just a tiny little rover. It's got that Dream Chaser Space logo at the front. There's two little hands right here that can be hinged out as well, and then there's just two seats for minifigures to sit. Nothing all too crazy going on, but I think it's a great inclusion. That build's very fun. If you remove that though, I suppose you could fit a few more minifigures back here if you wanted to. And then if I close the section back up, you could see there's a sticker piece right here that says Monkey on board, and that is an awesome sticker. Probably my favorite one in this entire set. That's so funny. With the rover removed, you can maybe see that sticker on the inside a little bit better. Yeah, you can see it's basically just a picture of the ship. You got some diagnostics down here, a bar graph, and a few Z's coming off because, yeah, of course, they need to remind you it's LEGO Dreamzzz. Now moving towards the back of the ship, on the top right here we have a little radar dish. It's got two little panels on this, and you can imagine this as some sort of weapon like aiming at the enemies, or it could just be something that retrieves and sends out information. There's these stickers on these panel pieces with like this bubbly design, and you can see that aesthetic continues on in many other parts of this build. And then there's also a stickered console piece at the back right here where it looks like they're tracking something down, and I guess it's like a warning sign that bad guys are in the area. There's also a round jumper piece right here, of course, to fit a minifigure, so that way you can have one of the characters in the set actually control the satellite. We got a big old fin out the back here with a giant sticker on it, and another sticker on top of that fin. These wings on the side have two more stud shooters at the front right here, one on each side. And then we have 6 stud shooters on the very end. And of course, if you turn this bit at the back, the studs will shoot out. We've got that space logo again here too on these Nexonite shield pieces. And then one of my favorite parts of the set are these giant thrusters out the back. Now, funnily enough, I was talking about this blue piece in my shark ship review, and then I completely forgot these pieces are actually used in trans blue in this set. But I believe these were originally introduced for LEGO Space Police 3 back when I was a kid, and that was one of my favorite themes as a kid, and I thought this part was the coolest thing, because it was the perfect size to fit a minifigure inside, so I loved using these parts as like gels to keep the bad guys that my characters captured. And you could kind of do that again with this set, because yeah, these pieces open up. Now these do connect to giant thrusters out the back, so it's up to you what you want to use like this opening feature for. Personally, I do like the idea of using it as like a prison for the minifigures and closing up around them, but that maybe seems a bit cruel because then it implies they're powering the ship. But you could also fill this with like the extra blue studs for the stud shooters as just like a storage method, and that way you just have those rattling around in there, and I think that's a pretty fun option as well. This build is exactly the same on both sides and does open up on both sides. And then these thrusters have these giant wheel pieces out the back, which I think look great, and then these power blast pieces coming out of them. These blasts are an all new part for this wave, and they come in multiple different colors in different sets. And the blue version is not exclusive to this set, however, it does look really cool. But yeah, I really like this new part, and I'm excited to see where else it's used in the future. Now that's about it for the main build of Mr. Oz's Spacebus. And there's not really any side builds, at least in this form of the set. Because as I mentioned earlier in this video, this set does have an alternate build just like every other LEGO Dreamzzz set. And the way the alternate builds in LEGO Dreamzzz sets work is different from other sets, because there's like a base form of the ship that only uses bags 1 through 7 of the set, and then bags 8 and 9 can be built in 2 different ways. Let me show you that in the instructions real quick. First though, let's appreciate the cover on these instructions. The instructions for all the LEGO Dreamzzz sets are fully illustrated. It's not a render like it has been recently, and this looks so much better. I think Logan especially looks very funny here. I like how Albert looks too. But then there's illustrations inside of the instructions that tell a story as you go along. When it comes time for bag 8 though, it gives you 2 different pages you can flip to, and that allows you to choose between which build you want. So of course we already took a look at this one up here, so now I'm going to remove bags 8 and 9 from the ship so we can take a look at it in its other version, and then we'll take a look at the minifigures in the set, and then I'll give you my overall thoughts. Before we get to the full alt build though, here's a quick look at the like base form of this set. So basically this is just the set with bags 1 through 7 and not bags 8 and 9. And you can see it basically just doesn't have that radar dish at the top, the thrusters coming out the back, nor the stud shooters on the sides of the wings. And of course all that's missing from the other side too. But now that I've removed those parts, I'm going to rebuild them and reattach them to this build, so that way you guys can see the full alternate build of this set. So here's a look at the alternate build of Mr. Oz's Spacebus, and I have to say this one is definitely a downgrade, at least in my opinion. Just like with all the other LEGO Dreamzzz sets, I do like that there's another option there, and you do have an alternate option on how you want to build this set, but I feel like this removes all the coolest features of the original build and doesn't really replace it with all too much. There's nothing that replaces the big thrusters out the back, instead there's just open technicals there, and that's the same thing on the side of the wings where the stud shooters used to be. You can see of course all that's exactly the same on the other side too, though now the little radar dish on the top has been replaced with this giant cannon. I will say this does look pretty cool. You can actually rotate it from side to side to actually aim at the enemy, and one of those trans blue cylinder pieces that was previously used for the thrusters is now used as like the energy tank for this cannon, and that can actually be opened up if you want to put something in there. This thing is massive, especially with like the giant wheel pieces at the front, so I do think this is at the very least a cool alternate option. I still think I prefer the original version to this, but I am very happy that the radar dish at the top is properly replaced instead of just being removed like the things on the side here. Now, while the alternate build doesn't have anything else new in the actual vehicle, there are some all-new side builds with the alternate build that are not actually present when the main build was together. Starting with this one, this is like its own separate smaller ship. You can see it uses that same like energy tank in the center right here with the power blast coming out to propel it forward. But then there's also 2 more thrusters out the back that are a little bit smaller, and then this is also where the stud shooters are moved to, so if you turn these thrusters out the back, the studs will actually shoot out. There are 2 little seats in this build where you can actually sit minifigures. So for example, here's how Mateo and Mr. look actually piloting this ship. And then the final new side build is this little satellite radar dish. It uses a lot of the pieces that were originally on top of the bus. And you can see it reuses that stickered console piece right here. This little dish at the front can be aimed so you can imagine it as like a little cannon. And then of course like the stickered panels on the sides can also be moved. There's a round jumper piece at the back which can be used as a seat for one of the minifigures in this set. So for example, here's how Albert looks piloting this one. But that is about everything there is to the alternate build of this set. And a lot of the other Dream sets I reviewed, I thought there was like positives to both builds. And I mean, this build's still good, don't get me wrong. But unlike the other sets, for me at least, there is very clearly a better build for this set. That's of course just my opinion though. I'm curious to hear which one you prefer in the comments. But I'll talk about all that more at the end of this video. For now, let's take a look at the minifigures and I guess midi-figures in this set. So here are the only two full minifigures in this set. We have Mateo and Mr. Oz. Mateo is the most common minifigure across all the LEGO Dreamzzz sets. However, this is the most complete version of Mateo in this set, which is nice to see. And by that I mean he comes with this cape in this set, because he does not have that in every set, but he does have it in this one, and that's super nice to see. It's like this bright green cape, and it's got this sort of jagged pattern at the bottom, which I think looks great. So I'm very happy to see it was included here. Mateo uses an all-new hairpiece for this wave, which looks amazing. I would like to get it unprinted at some point. Like, the printing on this figure works perfectly, don't get me wrong, it makes it feel extra detailed. But yeah, it's just a great part in general, so I'd like to see it without printing, because that'd make it more useful for customs and whatnot. Great expression of Mateo too, with his wide smile, and then of course he's got his one green eye. And then turning him around, taking a look at his alternate face, that expression I don't think is nearly as good, but I am happy he does have two expressions at least. Then of course he comes with this giant pencil accessory that he has in pretty much every set he comes in. I believe it's every set, though I could be wrong about that. And then he uses the LEGO Batman movie Batman belt in bright green, and he's got the Dream Chasers logo on his torso piece, and these all new dual molded legs with like gray jeans and sneakers, which I think look fantastic together. Removing that belt piece, there's a full look at the hip printing as well as the torso printing. And then here's a look at the back torso printing too, where you can see that green strap that he has on continues all the way around the back, and it's got a bit of metallic printing to it too. Then Mr. Oz is a really cool minifigure. As I mentioned earlier in this video, he is exclusive to this set, but they did a fantastic job with this guy. He uses this like super bulky armor piece, which typically I'm not a fan of. They've been using this piece for a few years now, and I don't think I've ever really loved it on any of the figures that it's come on, but I don't know, for this guy, in my opinion, it kind of works. I think what really saves it for me is the printed Dream Chaser symbol that they have on his torso right there. That's the same one that they put on the top of the hourglass pieces, but I don't know, it just fits so well, and just makes this figure look super cool. He also comes with like a little sci-fi ray gun, and then removing that armor, he looks great like this too. Again, he's got that Dream Chasers logo in the center, but he's just got a brown jacket on with the dark blue shirt underneath. I like how he has a little pencil and pen sticking out of his pockets, and I love the printing for his pants too. He's got like a belt on, little pockets, but then he's also all armored up in his boots. There's a look at his back torso print too, just sort of like a generic brown jacket, but it works for this guy. And then of course he's got this all new like hair, mustache, beard combo piece, and I wasn't sure how this was going to look in hand, but honestly it works pretty well. It does feel a bit strange for LEGO, like I don't know, something about this feels more like a 3D printed part than a LEGO part to me, but of course it's still the same high quality plastic and everything. But yeah, that part definitely helps him stand out. And then removing that piece, there's a full look at his face print, where you can see he has a printed beard and mustache. However, the mustache is actually metallic silver instead of gray. Not sure why that is, especially because you're never really going to see that, but it's funny. And then turning him around, unfortunately, no alternate face on this guy. That's a bit disappointing because of course his alternate face is covered up by his hairpiece, so there really is no reason for him not to have an alternate face. In the show, Mr. Oz always has the one tinted lens in his glasses whenever he's in the dream world, but in the real world he doesn't have that, so it would have been nice to get an alternate face that's more like real world Mr. Oz, but that's a very minor thing. I suppose it's not the biggest deal in the world. But yeah, all around two really good minifigures. They went all out with the Dreamzzz minifigures for this wave, and these two are prime examples of it. Then here are our first two minifigures of the set, the two good guy minifigures. We have Logan and we have Albert. Now Logan is weird. I've only seen up to like episode 13 of the show, so I have seen him turn blue, however I'm not really sure why he can turn blue. But yeah, this guy has a very strange design. Completely unprinted torso piece. They do sometimes print these torso pieces, like you can see Albert has a print, but yeah, this guy doesn't get any print at all. He's just blue. And then he's almost got like a furry blue beard design and one tooth sticking up, and then he uses the LEGO Batman movie Joker hairpiece in black. Very, very silly design. I do like Logan in the show, but this minifigure, I don't know. There's something a bit uncanny about it. The tiny little body and just being completely blue. It's very, very odd. I do like that hairpiece though. It was previously used on like Benthomar from Ninjago, so it's cool to see it still coming in sets. And turning him around, he does have an alternate face where he's a bit angry, and I actually think that works a lot better. However, that like printed fur at the bottom still looks weird to me. Then in terms of accessory, you can see he holds this giant hockey stick, and yeah, the minifigures could fit a bar piece underneath their arms, so that's how he's able to hold that, and Albert's able to hold this wrench. Speaking of Albert, he is awesome. I mean, he's literally just a little monkey. How could you not love a little monkey? But he was my most anticipated figure of this entire theme, and I am not disappointed at all. He of course uses this round dome piece on top of his head to be like a space helmet, but if I remove that piece, you can see his face print a little bit better, and yeah, it's just this tiny little monkey face. He's got blue around his eyes, and on his torso piece, there is the little printed Dream Chasers logo. But yeah, I don't have too much else to say on these two because they are very simple figures. Logan is weird, but I suppose he's nice to get, and Albert is quite funny, and I think he's the perfect use of this new figure scale. But then for the next two minifigures, we have one more good guy minifigure, Z-Blob, and then our first villain minifigure, Susan. Now Z-Blob comes in lots of sets this wave, and there's like 3 different scales for him. There's like a tiny little minifigure accessory, there's the minifigure, and then there's like a larger dome piece. Each of those versions do come in multiple sets. And the minifigure version's definitely a very interesting one. Starting off this accessory though, you can see there's this giant piece pointing towards the camera, and that's like this big rubber string or vine piece. I think that's meant to be like Z-Blob launching a part of himself out to attack something, or grab onto something. He comes with it in another set too, and it's a good part to get, but it is absolutely massive, so I'm gonna remove it from him for now. With that removed, you can see he uses the video slime piece, which is awesome to get because that only came on one video figure, and it was a Video Series 2 figure, so those had a very limited release. I always wanted to get that figure, never got the chance to, so I'm really glad they're reusing that part in another set, and of course you can put it on top of any minifigure that you want. And with that removed, you can see Z-Blob is literally just a little guy with eyes. Not much else to him than that. He's cute. Him having a body is a little more uncanny than just him being a little orb, so I wouldn't say this is my favorite version of him, but it is probably the best version for play. And then we come to Susan, who is one of my favorite new figures. She is awesome. Such a creepy design on her. I love this new mask piece that she has with like little bull horns coming out the side. It's very spectral and it's dual molded in black and trans pink. Trans pink, of course, was used a lot in like Ninjago Crystallized, so it works so well for villains. And she uses the classic LEGO wing piece, though all new in trans pink. And that's a great recolor, and I kind of wish those pieces were around at the time of Crystallized because they would have worked perfect for the Skull Sorcerer. But yeah, if you're a Ninjago fan, those parts might be useful for some customs. You can see she holds a giant spear as her accessory. And then if I take this mask piece off, you can see her full face print, where she has all these like little randomly placed eyes. That is super creepy, and I love the contrast between the super creepy figure and her name just being Susan. And you can see she does actually have a torso print here, where she just has some silver armor and some pink spots. But yeah, Susan is my favorite of the Grimmspawn minifigures. I think she is incredibly well done. And then the next 4 minifigures in this set are more Grimmspawn minifigures. However, these are more just generic ones. So you can see they all use the same exact face print and they all have unprinted torsos. However, they each have a different theme to them. And these actually all seem to be based on different classic LEGO themes. So this first one right here, this is Denny. And of course, he is based on classic space. Even his name is based off classic space. It's following the naming scheme that was set up by the LEGO Movie 2 with Benny, Lenny, etc. And he uses the classic space helmet in black and also has black air tanks. I believe the modern version of the classic space helmet in black is not all new for this set. That has come in a set before. But I think it was only one set previously, so it's nice to have another way to get that. And there's a full look at the face print on these guys. They just have like these glowing gold eyes, these very angry eyebrows, and this little stitching on the side. Then this next one is called Captain Bedbeard. He's of course based off Captain Redbeard from the classic LEGO Pirate sets. And he holds a sword, a little flintlock pistol, and then he's got a classic pirate hat at the top as well as a mustache around his neck. Super cute little design, but I don't have a ton else to say on him. And then here are the final two, Flight Knight and Proper Chopper. Flight Knight is of course based off classic LEGO Castle. He uses a knight helmet piece and he has like one of the classic orc swords. And they all have these little propeller pieces on their helmets too. But then Proper Chopper, who has a very funny name, I'm not sure if he's based off anything in particular. He's got like a little propeller jetpack at the back and this giant hat. He kind of gives off like steampunk vibes, so maybe that's what they were going for. And then he has a giant butcher knife as an accessory. But yeah, unlike the others, I don't believe he's based off any classic LEGO themes, though I could be wrong about that. Let me know in the comments if you guys know of a reference that I'm just not getting. But yeah, this set's a great way to build your Grimmspawn army. I love how they all use the same pieces yet are still unique. And there's also just some really great parts in here. And so, overall, what are my thoughts on this set? This one I like, but it's a bit more of a mixed bag for me. A lot of the LEGO Dream sets I've been reviewing I have absolutely loved. This one though, while I like it conceptually, I feel like has a lot of missed potential. For one, this set definitely feels overpriced to me, and a lot of the Dream sets aren't overpriced, so this one actually being overpriced does feel a bit odd. This should have been $80, maybe $90 in my opinion. The minifigure selection of this set I will say is really good. Obviously you only get 2 full-size minifigures, but the minifigures are still characters. And if we're counting them, you get a total of 10 figures in the set, which is really great. But yeah, I don't know, this build, while it looks good, it's just smaller than I was expecting. And the interior especially is disappointing if you don't customize it. For how big and important the ship is in the show, I just kind of wish there was more here. So I would say if you're like a huge fan of the show and you really want Mr. and Albert, this isn't a terrible set to pick up, you'll probably still enjoy it. But if you don't really care about the LEGO Dreamzzz show and you're just looking for fun and exciting builds, there's definitely better options out there even from this theme. So I still wouldn't call this a bad set by any means, but the other sets of this wave are just better. And for $100, in my opinion, you're better off spending your money elsewhere. But of course, those are just my thoughts on the set. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comments of this video. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let me know in the comments which LEGO Dream set you want to see an early review on next. But as for this video, I think that's about all I have to say, so thanks for watching everybody, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!